At this point in the weight loss and fitness community, the entire world basically agrees that calorie deficits are the best way and only way to do things. I tried saying that it was the best way in the last video. Greg Doucette called me out. He said it is the only way, and I agree, for a big thing like me, the best way, the only way for losing weight, is that calorie deficit and keeping that consistent calorie deficit for a long, long time. And, keeping it mild, a mild calorie deficit. That's what you want to go for. There comes a temptation to do a big calorie deficit, to bust out of the guns, bust out of the gates, doing everything as much as you can, as crazy as you can to get yourself down and down and down over and over again. But time and time again, we've all been proven wrong because of, binge eating disorders. Binge eating disorders extremely common, something you run into a lot, especially with big fat people like us. We're used to eating the copious amounts of food, huge amounts, just large, extreme amounts. And, when you run into an issue like that, you gotta, turn around, you gotta, recognize yourself, take a look, stop yourself from getting that. And the best way to do that is to, keep at a minimum, keep yourself moving slow, moving careful. Like imagine yourself on a balance beam, you wouldn't just get on a balance beam and run across it, right? You would steady yourself, get there, and that way you don't fall off. And hopefully you can get to the end of the balance beam, which is, your ideal body. And the best way to do that is just a small calorie deficit, widen the balance beam, make it easier to walk on. This is a great metaphor. I'm glad I thought of this, but yeah. So the best way to tell how many calories you should be eating in a day is to examine your daily energy expenditure, and there are calculators online for this. And I've been called out by Greg Doucette on this too. He says, the calculators aren't accurate, and yeah, I guess they're not accurate. You can get a doctor's opinion on it, if you have the money, if you have, the resources to get to a doctor, or, but if you don't, if you're in a position where you can't access a doctor, these calculators work fine, they work well enough, they're not going to allow you to spec into the things, at Greg Doucette's level, he's a professional bodybuilder. He's like a whole different guy, but at our size, at 425, you're 575 where I was before. You're the specificity doesn't matter as much. Just keeping under in any way. Just lessening the amount of damage you're doing. Can be very helpful indeed. At my biggest, I was able to eat. I think it was like 4,200 calories and still lose weight, or maybe 4,200 was my daily energy expenditure. So that was like my maintenance calories, and eventually I was working myself down and down. And as I lost more weight, I found myself, opened up to being able to sustain myself on less. That allowed me to lose weight faster. And there was also complex. It's a whole complex thing of like it gets lower as you lose weight, and you'll find that too. You'll get there, and yeah. So getting these calculators, going in there and seeing what your daily energy expenditure, just like getting that answer from the robot, can be very helpful. I know it helped me, and I didn't really have a doctor take a look at me or anything, and I've been, losing weight consistently. Right now, as it stands, I eat about 2,300 calories a day, and that's been really great. I've been losing weight quite rapidly. I am 423 pounds as it stands right now, and that is, that's really great for me because I was, all the way up at 475. I mean 575, and that's you and at our size, you don't need to be so specific. I'm sure that I could still eat, 2,600 and be fine. You go on the calculator and it says that my daily energy expenditure is 2,600, which, if you change things around, it changes, like I don't know my official body fat, but we used Greg Doucette's eyes, laser eyes to see, what my body fat percentage is. He said it was 65, maybe 60 at best. One time he said it might be 55, and that was a fun day. But Yeah, but I usually put in it's about that my body fat is about 60, and depending on if I put 65, 60, 55, uh, the answer that the calculator gives can be completely different. And there's all these little different minute things. So really, the best thing to do is to get the doctor involved. But if you don't have the doctor, again, the calculator will mostly be fine. I've had days where it was like I ended up eating 3,000 calories by accident, and I'm like, I still end up down. I've had days where I was like, I went a little bit, I don't know. I guess I don't really have days where I end up low, where I end up going up. If I go up big, I'm usually screwing up quite bad. And that's the thing. There's a lot of wiggle room with this calorie thing. You you can end up, you can end up really just like staying in a spot, or end up going like okay, I'm trying to construct my brain. You can end up going down, even if you go higher than what the calorie thing said, but not if the dot there's that whole complicated thing of like, what exactly is going on because the numbers they do hit, but like day to day weight, is a whole different story. Like there's the sodium intake you got to take account for. There's the how much sugar is in it. There's like what are you eating, carbs or protein? I know protein has a higher thermic rate, so like if you eat the protein, that burns faster than it would have if it was sugar or bread. So what you want to be eating is a lot of protein. And something I cannot recommend enough is eating a lot of protein because protein, it's nowhere near as high a calorie as the cookies and the cakes and stuff. So you can eat a bunch of meat, and that's the protein, so it's the higher thermic effect, and it also takes up more space in your stomach, and it also sticks with you longer, Same thing with stuff with fiber in it, you eat the broccoli, you eat the apples, those are going to stay with you longer. And also you can eat more of it, I think there's like 45 calories in a strawberry, or is it 15? I feel like it's like very low the amount of calories in a strawberry, so you can like eat a bunch of them and it's fine. Or you eat a big old salad, a salad, if you use a minimal amount of dressing in that, or if you can find a 0 calorie dressing, it can actually be super good for you because that's like really big and it fills up your stomach. Like there's also like different options. Like I've been exploring Greg Doucette's cookbook. Shout out to him because I've been enjoying the heck out of the stuff in his cookbook. I'm really talking a lot about Greg Doucette in this video, but he is a wise man on the subject. He went to university for it, so he knows what he's talking about. But he's got that cookbook, and uh, I had that French toast. I've been having so much of that French toast, man. And I've been having like the egg bites. The egg bites, absolutely wild. You need a bunch of those, and like the whole batch, 400. You don't want to eat the whole batch because it's very filling, but like it's and it does taste like really good too. So it's like you want the high protein, you want the low calorie, and the stuff in the cookbook. It does have that, and then there's like also other options. You can. Like I said, the vegetables, the protein, just have a steak, When's the last time you like cooked yourself a steak on the barbecue? Put the spices on there, make it taste good, You don't need to fry everything in butter, People put steaks in the pan, they fry it in butter. And that's not the thing to do, there's vegetable oils too. Like I think vegetable oil is healthier than butter. I'm not super sure on that. Don't hold me to that, But ultimately, I'd have to say that doing it on the barbecue's got to be best because you don't need all the grease and oil for that. You're frying it, you're getting the grill marks on there, and then you got the spices and the salt, and the salt will well, it might have you put on weight, but I don't know. I think you have to eat like a lot of salt for you to have a noticeable difference from it. Like you will notice water weight gain from eating a large amount of sodium. That's why I say like keep high sodium stuff to a minimum, like the pastas and stuff. You can have pasta once in a while, but like don't overdo it. Like a lasagna. If you eat a bunch of lasagna, if you eat a lot of spaghetti, I've always noticed that if I eat spaghetti or shepherd's pie, those are the two things that I'm always up after. Even if I like examine all the ingredients and figure out how many calories in it, like I will always like after I eat shepherd's pie or spaghetti, I'll be up a couple of pounds because it's like, I don't know, just it's got to be the salt because I do examine the ingredients, often I like I'm not cooking it myself, but I do look at the ingredients. I look at how much they're putting in, and it's like it doesn't seem like it would be like the amount I'm eating. It doesn't have the amount of calories in it that cause that weight gain. And there is a direct thing about it, you know. There's that shot of like not everything is completely direct, you know. Day to day, it's hard to notice like consistent weight loss, and there will be ups and downs. And you got to remember that too, because again, with the binge eating disorder, you can end up, feeling like you were responsible the day before because you ate the right amount of calories, and then you can still be up because of sodium or a sunburn. Oh my God, I ran into issues with a sunburn a while ago. Turns out sunburns cause water retention, and that makes you gain weight even though you're losing fat, and that's a whole thing. That was an awful situation, but yeah, there's all sorts of tiny little things that you spec into as you get deeper into weight loss, and I'm getting into that. There's a whole bunch of research you got to do yourself, and different stuff works for different people, but a lot of the same stuff works for everyone, and a lot of the same stuff, also hurts us. The sunburn thing, that was awful. And then yeah, just avoid sodium, because a lot of the sodium stuff, the high sodium stuff, has like butter in it and an overindulgence of fats and sugar, and the stuff that's riddled with calories, like lasagna. I mentioned that before. There is a little bit of protein in it with the hamburger, but mostly it's like spices and grease and noodles, and the noodles, they have yeah, carbohydrates. Why did I struggle to think of that one? But yeah, you see that. You see the noodles, the pasta. That's, and I know Greg Doucette's second cookbook. I have the third one, but the second one has a lasagna in it, and that lasagna is really good. I tried it over at his place when I went, and yeah, it was really good. So yeah, go get his cookbook. Second one, you got to get yourself that lasagna. Get the third one, and save yourself some money. Use my code Bradley for 10% off. I don't know if that counts for the cookbook or not, but I hope it does. That way you can get the discount. Go get yourself some. HTLTsubs.com. Yeah.